I have something on my mind again, and I thought we could have a more serious conversation on this. Interested in your feedback on what I'm about to say. There's kind of an 800-pound gorilla in the room in the hobby that I don't hear anybody talking about. That is card restoration, or what I like to call card alteration. I did a few videos a while back saying that I believed that they would change the terminology from alteration to restoration and they would legitimize it. And that is exactly what is happening now. I did one of my videos, I showed card porn, totally changing a relic card, putting a different patch in the card, and well, we know what's happened to them. You know, you have Kurt's Card Care Kit now that helps collectors, investors, scammers, helps everybody who wants to alter their cards and presumably get higher grades. I see some arguments that, you know, you're doing it for your own collection. They're my cards. I could do what I want. Sure you can. But I don't believe the vast majority of people are doing them for their own personal use, number one. I believe they're doing it to get over on the grading companies and to get higher grades. That's what it's used for. And the real crime is I hear people all the time say, I use it all the time. I've never had one come back from PSA or a grading company altered, right? They're grading these things. And so that kind of lends itself to the question, again, is grading a scam? If we could just alter our cards and send them in, how does that give us the warm and fuzzy that everybody has with grading? If you have no idea if it's altered or not, they have no idea if they're getting grades. Now, I know ignorance is bliss. You don't care as long as you get a high grade and could sell it for a profit. But how will this change the hobby? See, I was thinking about this. Will this lower the dispersion, the ridiculous dispersion between 10s and 9s and lower grades? Are you going to be paying up for these when, the card could be altered? I don't know. I think this could have the possibility of changing the way we look at grading forever. And you know, in the modern hobby, people don't want to pay for old slabs. They'll say, I'm not paying you top dollar because it's an old slab. They didn't grade as tough. Is that true? If today they're grading altered cards? And here's the question. Will we go back to wanting the older slabs more because they were graded pre-Kurt's Card Care Kit? Pre-alteration boom? Because we're going through an alteration restoration boom right now. They are taking cards and dipping them in water and pressing them and getting creases out. They're doing everything but coloring them and centering them. They can make the corner sharper. And does it matter? But if it doesn't matter, why the hell are we spending tens of thousands of dollars to grade our cards if it doesn't matter? And you know, the argument that, well, they're my cards, I'll do what I want. I'm not going to have them graded. Well, all cards end up in other people's collections eventually. People get into financial hardship and sell, or they die, or whatever. They just lose interest. Are you disclosing that you altered half your cards in your collection when you're selling them? Because we have a lot of ethical things that happen, and they're borderline. Is it ethical? I was just watching a video with collector dealer investor, where he sent in a card to PSA. It got a 6, and he thought it was a 10, so he cracked it, sent it back in, it got a 5, or vice versa. So then he cracked it again, sent it into Beckett, and it got a 9.5. And he brought up the question, somebody had asked, is it unethical not to disclose that PSA rejected that card or gave it lower grades twice before? And of course, the vast majority of people aren't going to disclose that. They're going to sell it for the 9.5. They want as much money as they can get. Does that make grading a scam if you could send it in 3 times and get 3 different grades? And will that hurt paying ridiculous amounts of money for the top grades? I don't know. But this alteration is here to stay. And just like with anything, why do they call it veal? Because no one would buy it if you called it tortured baby cows. So you could call it whatever you want. You could call it restoration. It's alteration. It's a matter of semantics, but we all know what's going on. And so the masses can now alter their cards and get higher grades. Can we trust nothing anymore? My man over at the Sports Card Shack just did a video on autographs, the whole autograph topic that's been going around. And he was with his uncle, an old-time collector, and he would get autograph cards starting in the 80s, which, by the way, is what I said when it became popular. And he had traded for a Sandy Koufax autograph card, a 57 autograph card of Sandy Koufax. And they don't believe it's real. It is slanted like a right-handed person signed it. They sent it off to PSA and it got graded. And it got authenticated. Do we even know what we're buying anymore? Is authentication and grading a bit of a scam? I don't know how you could come to any other conclusion when you can send in and get one grade, crack, send, get a different grade, crack, send, get a different grade. When, there are clearly signatures that are questionable, that are so easily authenticated. When you have people who get a signature in person, send it immediately to PSA, and it gets rejected. I don't know. What are we paying all this money for? What are your thoughts on alteration? I said a long time ago it would become the norm, and it ain't going anywhere. As long as people can make that money, as long as they can get over on PSA. Because if PSA can't tell the difference, and the buyer, you can't tell the difference. Ignorance is bliss, like I always say. As long as you have a card with that grade, you're happy. You're happy. I find it funny. I see so many people who they're so excited to get a card. They just love this card. It was a dream card. They send it into PSA. It gets like a 2 or something. And then all of a sudden, they're not so happy with the card anymore. You were happy with the card a few months earlier when you got it. Is it really up to PSA to determine our enjoyment of the hobby? How much we like our cards or not? Because I always say on a scale from 1 to 10, anything less than a 10 is junk. I mean, nobody likes to stare at a card and see a giant 1 on it or a giant 2 on it. And that's the most prevalent thing we see, especially with SGC. The first thing you see is the big number. Because I always say we collect slabs now, not cards anymore. Look at these slabs. I don't know. I'm interested in your thoughts. I don't know. I don't have any answers. These are just some things that I'm thinking about. Will the older slabs be more trustworthy? Even though now it's reversed. And there's this autograph boom going on where, man, I see so many guys that don't even want a regular old card anymore if it's not autographed. And who knows if they're real? I'm actually going to stop buying autograph cards. I'm going to stick with the tried and true. I've never been a huge autograph fan, but I've decided I ain't paying any big money. I ain't shelling out extra money for autographs because I have no clue if they're real. And who knows what they'll come up with in the future. You know, maybe AI, when that's done in a bigger way, will be able to tell for sure based on handwriting analysis and so forth. You know, I studied handwriting analysis. I do my own comparisons. And there are certain tendencies, like somebody, they'll retrace a certain letter. But you see authenticated autographs where they don't retrace it. You know, it doesn't look like the same person wrote it. In that Sandy Koufax instance, it doesn't even look like a left-handed person signed it. So, you know, I'm sure you have cards in your collection that you know are overgraded. You'll never get them reslabbed, or crossed over because you know it won't grade that high. And I'm sure that you have cards in your collection that you question the authenticity of a signature that was authenticated. I think every collector knows when their cards are super overgraded or whatever. Any savvy collector anyway. So, I don't know, it's a deep and complicated subject in my mind. Will it change the industry forever? Yes, it will. In what ways? I don't know. Like I said, maybe we could go back to collecting the old slabs because they're more reliable. Maybe people just don't care anymore. How about the grading companies just change and don't assign a number and just sign everything as authentic if you can't tell if it's altered or not? I mean, what's the point of grading if they can't tell if it's altered or not? So you might as well just authenticate it and be done with it. And can you even do that? I mean, I see grading companies authenticating reprints and stuff all the time. There was this one incident, and it made all the news. You probably heard about it, where a guy spent, I don't know, he bought like a Michael Jordan rookie card in a PSA 10, sold it for a profit, went for like 30 grand. After the auction, they contacted him. Somebody questioned it and essentially canceled the auction. And then PSA wanted to unslab it because it was a fake. And, I mean, the collector's just out. Buyer beware at all times, right? There's no insurance for that collector who legitimately bought a PSA graded card. And when he sold it, got screwed over. These are interesting times. Things are changing. And it makes me question just about everything. And it really, it's really disheartening for me as a collector and wondering what the future will bring. Because anytime there's big money involved, you bring out the most unscrupulous people. And people that were being defended not so long ago are in hiding now. You don't even see or hear from them. They were ousted as scammers. Card porn's a perfect example. Posting a video, not only altering the card, but putting a totally different patch in it. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. And this is why I don't participate in probably 70% of the hobby anymore. I don't even want to watch the stuff. I mean, I get triggered when I see stock symbols at the bottom of videos. And teaching our kids to hustle everybody and try to get one over on everybody. That's the modern collector. You know, we were all enamored with card prices. We all would go run to the Beckett back in the day and you wanted to track and see how much your cards were worth. Sure, that's exciting stuff. But I don't know. A little down on the hobby right now. Hey, I'm interested in your thoughts. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going to happen. Tell me your thoughts on altering and getting grades with altered cards. Interested in your thoughts. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you're still here, thanks for watching.